Do you think you make too much money to file bankruptcy? You may be wrong. And if you've been Googling make too much money to file bankruptcy, the biggest mistake you can make is assuming your income automatically disqualifies you. Because it doesn't always work that way. In this video, I'm going to explain how income is reviewed in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, why being over a certain income doesn't automatically keep you out, and why your actual monthly cash flow may still matter even if you pass the initial review. A lot of people think bankruptcy eligibility is based on one simple question: how much do I make every year? But that's not the full question. The better question is, how does my income compare to the New Jersey median income for a household my size when considering my gross income over the past 6 months doubled? That matters because bankruptcy law doesn't use one income number for everyone. A single person and a family of 4 are not measured the same way. Here are the current New Jersey median annual income numbers, just so you have an idea. For a household of just one person, it's $87,173 a year gross. For 2 people, it's $106,876. For 3 people, say your spouse and your child, it's $137,136. And for 4 people, say a married couple and 2 children, it's $168,127. Now, if your household is larger, just add an additional $11,100 for each additional person over 4. So, you may think you make too much money to file bankruptcy, but under the bankruptcy analysis, your income may not be as high as you think once household size is considered. These numbers change from time to time, so don't rely on this video alone to decide whether you qualify. But the main point is simple. Household size matters along with your income. If your income is under the median for your household size, then that's a good sign for a Chapter 7 because it says your income isn't necessarily a bar to your filing. But if your income is over the median, don't panic. That doesn't automatically mean that Chapter 7 is off the table either. It simply means you move on to the next step. Once your income is over the median, the analysis is no longer just about the income side of the scale, it's about your living expenses. Think of it as a set of scales, like the scales of justice. On one side is your income. On the other side are certain expenses and deductions. They can include taxes, certain living expenses, car and mortgage payments, and other deductions allowed under the bankruptcy rules. This is why 2 households with the same income may not get the same result. And after those allowed deductions are applied, the means test looks at what's left. That is, the disposable income calculation. Is the income side of the scale heavier, or is the expense side of the scale heavier, or are they about balanced? In plain English, the question becomes, after the allowed deductions, is there enough money left over to pay creditors? If the answer is no, or the number is low enough to be insignificant, you may pass the means test. If the answer is yes, and the number is too high, there's a presumption that Chapter 7 isn't appropriate and that a Chapter 13 repayment plan may be the better choice. So the means test has a basic progression. First, compare your income to the New Jersey median income for your household size. Second, if you're over the median, deduct the allowed expenses. And third, see whether there's disposable income left over to pay creditors. That's the basic flow. But there is one more problem. This means test isn't the only way that bankruptcy courts look at income, because the income used for the means test can sometimes distort reality. Your gross income over the past 6 months may not represent half your annual income due to a one-time bonus you received in those 6 months, a lot of overtime that's not normal or guaranteed, or you're a teacher who's paid over 10 months instead of 12, and your regular paycheck doesn't represent your income for every month of the year. Those things can make your income look higher than it really is over the long term. This is why passing the means test may not be the end of the analysis. Even if you pass the means test, the court and the trustees still look at your actual income and expenses. In other words, they may look at your real monthly cash flow. If your actual budget shows that you have significant money left over each month after reasonable and necessary living expenses, that can still create a problem in a Chapter 7. So passing the means test matters, but it's not a magic shield. Your real world budget still has to make sense. So don't assume that you make too much money to file a Chapter 7 just because you earn a decent income. If you're worried about making too much money to file, don't guess. Have an experienced bankruptcy attorney run the calculations for you. And if you live in Burlington, Camden, Gloucester, Salem, or Cumberland County, New Jersey, click the link in the description to schedule an initial call with my office for me to help. I can review your situation, run the numbers, and help you understand whether Chapter 7, Chapter 13, or another debt relief option may make sense for you. Don't make this decision based on a guess. Get the numbers reviewed the right way.